this year's 500.
Old Tony Kanaan retirement announcement this morning. Honestly, it was really cool to race against Tony because I had his hero cards when I was a kid. So
thank you, sir.
Yeah, pretty cool to get to race with him a lot. My first 500 was when he won, so pretty cool.
And also AJ's only 500 was when he won.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was true. Yeah, me and AJ, Indy 500 rookies together. So pretty cool experience.
But I'm
sorry.
Yeah.
Just what with Doug's experience, what he means. The fact that's in his generation, he was a very popular driver.
Oh yeah, Tony Kanaan. I mean, he's a legend. Honestly, I would like to see Tony Kanaan try the Daytona 500. So who knows what he's got who knows what he's got in his future? But Tony Kanaan's got a lot to do, and it was an honor to race with him. And one last time at the Indy 500 this year will be awesome. So very excited about it.
Now, how about your first Daytona 500?
Well, I'll let you know tonight. I don't know. Don't really know what to expect yet, but it's just super cool to be here. I've done the Rolex twice. I raced go-karts here when I was 12, 13, 14. So spent a lot of time here growing up, and just excited for the chance just to take in a lot of learning at a very high rate of speed. It's going to be tough. It's the biggest uphill battle that I've probably had to make a race. The 2018 Indy 500 was going to be tough for me to make that race, but we made it fine, so that was good. But this one's going to be a real challenge. So a lot of good drivers, a lot of good teams that are also trying to qualify. So we'll see what happens.
What has the reaction been from people about you doing this? It seems very positive on social media anyway. But.
It's been very cool, yeah. I mean, honestly, I have an incredibly supportive fan base. It's just been with me for a lot of my career, but even a lot of the folks that have kind of been new to following me since I've been with Dirty Mo Media and Dale Jr.'s company and the podcast that I've had. So there's been a lot of really nice people that have been like, hey, we didn't really know about you, but we like what you say about racing and we like what you do. So that's been kind of cool to be a part of. And I just love this sport. There's a lot of fan bases that are like, we're only NASCAR, we're only IndyCar, we're only F1. I'm like, I like all of them all. So I don't know why we can't do more of that. And hopefully there's a little bit more of, love spread to all of them as we try to do a bit of both NASCAR and IndyCar at the same time.
Dale Jr. wouldn't be a bad guy to hit up about racing at this place. Have you discussed that?
He has been a great resource, yes. He is on my team of supporters, which is really nice. So him, but also, Tony Uri Jr., my crew chief, has been a great resource to lean on, and he's got so much experience in this world and at this track specifically. And it's great to be where I'm at. Even though it is a massive challenge ahead, I still feel very lucky to be here with this group around us.
As a kid growing up in snowy Indiana, I mean, how cool was it every February that you could turn on the TV and watch the Daytona 500?
Well, Daytona 500 means that the race season has started. So thankfully that means that, we're going IndyCar racing very, very soon after, March 5th in St. Pete. So it also means that everything is finally going again. Football's over, sadly. We love football. But it's time to go racing, so I'm excited.
Conor, what do you anticipate the nerves being tonight?
Well, the qualifying is I've had it described to me multiple ways. One way was it's easier than driving down the highway, so that's good. And the biggest learning experience will be with all the other cars around me. So the qualifying will be very much just about feeling the platform of the car into one for the first time, into three for the first time, obviously running high to generate momentum, and then low, obviously, for the qualifying runs. So kind of feeling just how the track is. And then after the checker flag, probably continuing to drive hard all the way around to the pits to you get an extra half lap of practice, you know what I mean? So anything will help, anything will matter. And I was just talking to Ryan Blaney a little bit, and there's a lot that, where these cars efficiently run in the draft, where they don't efficiently run behind other cars. So it's figuring that out on the fly, because I can be told all of that, but until I literally physically feel it in the seat, you won't really know how to best react to it.
How much of a bummer is it to not have that practice before this year?
Oh, it sucks, honestly. Practice sounds great, but honestly, a lot of my NASCAR stuff, actually almost all of it, both my truck races, the Cup race, the Xfinity race, I did have practice in qualifying, and that went well. But there's been no practice for the Roval for me. There's 6 laps before it broke. And then the truck races, there's been no practice either. So I guess I'm kind of used to it in the NASCAR realm, but I will always take practice. And I listened to Denny Hamlin on his podcast this morning, and he would love practice too. So I guess I'm not the only one.
There's not much that translates from your only other NASCAR Cup Series start on a Roval to this place.
There's not a lot, but there is when it comes to the systems of the car and like the gearbox and feeling how that works, the brakes. The brakes will be a little bit different, obviously, for the oval, and the pit speed. Like, pit speed limit was something that obviously I had to get used to because we have a nice handy-dandy pit speed limiter in the Indy car, which is very helpful. But that is something that I do have experience with, which is good. But it's all at a different place now, so it'll be interesting.
Not many people get offered a ride for the 500 or have funding to go run the Daytona 500. Did you have to take this opportunity now? Because it may never come around, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we have a sponsor, which is the only reason this is happening, right? Like, there's a lot of business that goes into motorsport, and BitNow.com have been a huge supporter of mine, and they love motorsport, what racing is doing in general, and I think everyone is seeing how big motorsport is right now. Whether doesn't matter if it's IndyCar, doesn't matter if it's NASCAR or Formula One. Everything's kind of seems to be all tides raising all the ships, as they say. So we're using it, and a lot of other companies are using this sport to do great things. So yeah, this is an opportunity that was presented to me, and it was debatable for a little while. We're like, well, I mean, it's gonna be that's tough, but like, you never know if you get another shot at it. So why not? Like, it's a great upside, and the downside really is not big because we're still gonna have our sponsor. We're still gonna go to COTA to race there. So that's gonna be fun.
So when it seemed like Elio wasn't going to get this chance, because we know his name was
Yeah.
with it, did you look at that and say, I need to call somebody, or how did it present itself to you?
Well, Elio, I'm sure will have an opportunity to do this race pretty much anytime he wants. So I think when he looked at it, it's like, well, that is going to be tough to make it. Maybe I don't need to do it, which is fair because it's Elio. So he's got plenty of rings and trophies to lean back on. But for me, it's a bit of a different scenario. I'm also a bit younger than he is, so like I don't know what's going to happen, but I could just take this opportunity and run. But it did all happen very quickly. It was like, hey, do you want to do it? And I was like, well, let's look at everyone else who's doing it first. And they were like, yeah, but like, we should do it. I'm like, yep, we should. And I was actually in Charlotte too on the IndyCar simulator, and I called AJ Allmendinger that night first off, and I was like, hey, what do you think I should do? He's like, honestly, if you have nothing to lose, for sure do it. And Chase Briscoe said the same thing. I called him. I actually have a screenshot of all the people I first called on my phone. It's kind of funny. And I actually misdialed AJ Foyt, and I was going to call AJ Allmendinger, but accidentally called AJ Foyt. I canceled that right away. I didn't mean to bother him.
That would have been an interesting.
It would have been an interesting call. But
he
it was
is
very
a former
funny.
winner.
He is, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was, I called all those guys, and everyone did say the same thing. They're like, it's going to be hard, but why not? And I was like, yeah, sure. I agree with all of you.
So is this a one and done for you, or maybe again in the future?
I never do anything one and done. I would love to do more as much as I can, but obviously you never know when those opportunities come about. But my goal would to hopefully be learn a lot this race and learn a lot in the duel to hopefully use in the race that we get to do on Sunday to then hopefully come back next year and feel way better about it. So who knows? I obviously can't tell the future, but I'll do anything, anytime, any place.
So when you make the starting lineup, who's on your guest list?
I have no idea. I'm taking it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time,
I
really,
imagine
because I don't even know.
But I imagine Rossi will probably.
I don't know. He came to the Roval, but Rossi's busy now. We got season coming up. Who knows?
Obviously, each year and each circumstance is different, but this is a team that was in this position last year and
Yeah.
did qualify for the race. How helpful is that the team has that experience already in trying to make this race?
Yeah, it's great for sure. And I mean, obviously, it was a crazy scenario for them last year with the pit road speeding penalty and having the help of Kurt Busch too. Because I talked to Kurt a lot, like just at the Clash last week, and he's been a helpful resource to have as well. But I've tried to find some friends to hopefully maybe help me in the duels as well, and I guess we'll see what happens when the qualifying decides who's in what duel.
You mentioned COTA. You'll be in COTA?
Yeah. As far as I know, it was announced that we're going to do COTA too, so that'll be cool.
How many races you will do this year in the Cup Series?
It's definitely we want to do 4 with the potential to maybe do 7. But I think that all depends on how the scheduling works out and how everything is going as well.
Can you say the other 2 or no?
Well, I think we definitely want to do the Indy road course double. That's for sure been confirmed, but the one in August, the Brickyard weekend, so that'd be really cool. But the others I don't think we're really set on yet.
All of the 50?
Yeah.
Does it depend on making this race? Is that going to be a help?
Honestly, nothing really. Whether we make this race or not, it doesn't affect the rest of our schedule, thankfully. Which is why we're doing it. Because if it did, then it'd be like, oh, I don't know if we do it. But like, it's like massive upside, low downside.
What have you been able to do to prepare for this?
So thankfully, Chevrolet has been really helpful to be a part of that team. We use that IndyCar simulator a lot. And right next door is the Chevy NASCAR simulator. So I basically just went from one door to the other last week, and Kyle Busch was on the sim before me, but I got in at the end of the day just for a couple laps. With Tony Jr. was there too, and it's cool to be a part of that Chevrolet racing team. Obviously, I've been with Chevrolet now for years, so helpful to get in. But like Kyle told me even there, it's like, you're not going to learn much on this simulator for Daytona, which is understandable because again. I think a lot of what makes this race so challenging and so difficult is what happens in the pack, in the dirty air, in the movement of the cars, what that affects each side of the car, how it affects everything. So that's something it's impossible to simulate.
Chandler Smith was talking about the fact that, without practice, he's never turned a single lap in a Cup car, so you've already got more experience than someone else you're racing against to try to get in. Excuse me, but just learning those launch points in the sim for your qualifying run, how important are kind of those little details? Well,
that was what we worked on most, was leaving pit lane and shift points and then kind of the process of how that's going to work. Because, again, the shift points were something that I guess I didn't know needed to be different and in certain rev ranges. So there's a lot that will be new to me. But it was nice to, I guess, get in that rhythm of, okay, this is how we're going to leave pit lane, this is what we're going to do, and this is how it's going to happen. Yeah.
Kyle Larson's going to run the Indy 500. Any tips you want to give him?
I mean, I'm super excited to see Kyle do it. I think he's going to be really good. I mean, he's going to be with a really good team, which is super important. I mean, I think he's going to love it, but it's going to be hard. I don't think he's going to be bad at all. Like, I think he's going to be in a good position. I think the best part about that, and we just talked about practice a little bit earlier, is that we do have a week of practice. And, like, that week, every single day of Indy 500 practice is so important because it is so hard to get that car in the right window for qualifying and then a completely different race car as well. So I think he's going to enjoy the process of it because who doesn't love driving race cars more? Well, that guy does. He loves driving race cars every day. So the fact that, he gets to do that, I think it'll be really cool, and I hope to be a part of it as well.
Who's helped you, in terms of advice or just anything about this week?
I would say AJ Allmendinger was the first guy I called. He's been helpful, very helpful actually, and he's very honest with me. And Corey LaJoie, Chase Briscoe, those guys have been guys that I've leaned on a lot. Chase Briscoe a lot. And Denny I've spoken to a little bit. But I also don't want to bother people. I want to ask advice, but I'm like, hey, I don't want to be that random guy that's like, all right, no one's going to tell me how to do it because it's impossible to do that. You can get advice, but until you actually feel it through the seat, that's what's really going to adjust how that advice filters through my brain.
This is Austin Dillon, driver of the Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also check out one of those 2 videos beside me. Visit frontstretch.com for more racing content.